Play ball indeed, as the man says. Welcome to high school, the nightcap of North Carolina, South Carolina, American Legion Baseball Challenge. Here in Lovelyville, where we host Post 43ers. Take on Cherryville Post 100, the second game of the night before Post 100. They fell to Florence earlier this afternoon, 15-4. John, the guys look pretty good out there right now.
Yeah, they do. And Cherryville's looking for revenge. They just got boat raced by Florence. Post won by final score of 15-4. So they're out for blood tonight, which matches the color of their jersey. Before Post 43 trying to keep this great little run. They're on a mini two-game winning streak after losing the first game of the week to Rock Hill 2-0 at Rock Hill. Back-to-back nights of double-digit offense for Post 43. 10 running Rock Hill on Wednesday night, and then beating them last night by 8 runs. And so Fort Mill trying to keep that good run along the way. Different starter tonight for Fort Mill, but a good one nonetheless. It's Nation Ford's Lane Ross. And Lane is an outstanding young man. His mom, Kathy, one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet. Great family. Lane's just a great kid. Very well behaved, yes sir, no sir kind of guy. So you pull for a kid like that. Your rest of your defense is Hunter Muscade, a catcher. Third baseman is Nico Bartolotti. Gabe Simmons as a shortstop. The second baseman tonight for Fort Mill Post 43 is going to be Drew Brink. The first baseman will be Scott Young. Your outfield from left to right tonight is Jonathan Barshow, Zach Jennings, and Sam Chiz. And to appear for Cherryville Post 100, it'll be Stiles, Brockman, and Pope.
And a collection of all-star talent, if you will, on Post 43. All of these guys we saw all year long during the high school season, and they were all all-stars on their respective teams. So it's good to see this collection of talent together. Lane Ross and Hunter Busquet, or affectionately known as Biscuit, are your battery tonight. And we'll go down the Cherryville lineup real fast. It'll be Riley Stiles playing center field, and the shortstop Zane Brockman. Ashton Pope, the second baseman, will hit third. The cleanup guy will be Ethan Guy, the right fielder. Batting fifth tonight will be Will Fowler, the first baseman. Hitting sixth will be Colin Huss, who was the first pitcher in Game 1. He's playing left field. The DH is Colton Mays, and Cannon Willis, the third baseman, hits eighth, and rounding out the lineup will be Reed Strout, the catcher.
First pitch of the ball game is a strike. That one's fouled out of play. 7:33, so a tiny bit tardy. But if anything, silver linings, being selfish for us broadcasters and PA guys, it was a 5-inning game, so it allowed us to get this game started on time. I think if that game would have gone 7, we'd been started around 8:30. That's a nice slider out of the hand of Lane Ross.
Just outside, too.
Yeah, 1-2 the count to the leadoff man, Riley Stiles. And I'm going to let you wax poetic about Mr. Ross. You've seen him a lot more than I have.
I have. Lane has a nice fastball that kind of tails away from the batter, and then his breaking balls are obviously we just saw one that just kind of cut the corner of the plate there.
And don't let his demeanor fool you. He's right. A bulldog out there.
He is a competitor.
2-2, swung on and missed. Strikeout number 1 for Lane Ross. That's an outstanding start. One down for Brockman.
And you're going to see a lot of that with Lane. He is a strikeout pitcher.
Walking to the plate forward, Cherryville Post 100, shortstop number 15, Zane Brockman.
Zane Brockman comes to the plate. Coming from the left side, Brockman is. Here's the pitch. That slider stays a little bit on the outside, ball 1.
And even though I understand the whole concept of that pitch is swung on and a slow tapper to the second baseman, Drew Brink. He'll throw to first, and 2 up and 2 down very quickly. A strikeout and a ground out for Lane Ross. And actually, to be honest with you, selfishly, I'm thrilled to death. I can now root for the young man. Normally, I'm having to be in Fort Mill colors, and he's in Nation 4 colors. Here's Pope.
Ashton Pope, the second baseman, comes up with 2 outs. And as you mentioned, Lane Ross is a guy that you love to root for, so it's nice that he's on your team at this point.
That pitch popped up and a high fly ball above the lights, but it's going to bang off the sidewalk between the batting facility.
I was waiting to hear the bang.
Bang. Ball off of metal. Hey, be on your P's and Q's, because down here on the front row is one of the chiefs of the umpiring crew for the Catawba area crews. He's down there to the right, so the 3 gentlemen on the field. He's looking at those guys really closely. That pitch is swung on and hit right up the chute. Who wants it? It'll be Brink at second. And very quickly, 1-2-3 goes Cherryville. We head to the bottom of the first inning. Cherryville, nothing. And Fort Mill is coming up.
Bottom half of inning number one coming up. Cherryville goes down 1-2-3 in the top half of the first inning, exactly the same way they did against Florence. Now, can Fort Mill pile on the offense like Florence did in game one? Well, as the homers, we hope so, but we also look forward to a good game.
Leading up the bottom of the first inning for Fort Mill Post 43, designated hitter number 10, Eli Craddock.
Eli Craddock will be the leadoff hitter for Fort Mill Post 43 here in the bottom of the first. He's a designated hitter. He'll be hitting for the pitcher, Lane Ross. We'll go down the lineup real quick. Nico Bartolotti will play third and hit second. Gabe Simmons is shortstop hitting third. Hitting in the cleanups positions, the first baseman, Scott Young. Zach Jennings is in center field hitting fifth. Sam Chisholm played right field and hit sixth. Jonathan Barshow will hit seventh and play left field. And Hunter Bosquet, the catcher, hits eighth. Drew Brink, the second baseman, hits ninth. The first pitch comes across as a strike on the outside corner to Eli Craddock.
Nice slider out of the hand of Reynolds right there. The 0-1, did Eli check his swing? Yes, sir, he did. A ball and a strike. Not a cloud in the sky. Maybe a little hazy if you wanted to be technical about it. It is a very warm 86 degrees here in the Milltown. That pitch off the inside corner, 2-1. The wind is blowing 10 miles an hour towards the right field foul pole. The field is in perfect condition. Coach Travis Collier and Jonathan Romano and Joel Riley were working hard to refurb the field. That pitch is swung on in a line drive right to the third baseman. Wow. An atom ball as Eli continues to rope the baseball, but 1 up and 1 down for Nico.
And that's all you want is you want him to hit that ball hard and not swing at foolish pitches. And Eli did just that. Nico Bartolotti steps in there, the third baseman tonight. And the first pitch is a strike. Enjoyed watching Bartolotti all season long. We had the pleasure of getting Clover out of the way at the beginning of the season, but Bartolotti did a lot of damage to the Falcons. That catches the outside corner for strike two.
I think all y'all did was piss them off, and then they boat raced us. So thanks for that. Appreciate it. Checks in the mail.
That's right.
We were mad as a hornet by the time they got to us.
0-2 the count to Bartolotti. Here's the pitch. He hits it to the left side, and it bounces off the glove of the third baseman.
That's another error on Cherryville. By my count, that's error number 6 of the day. They committed 5 against Florence. Here's Simmons.
And that one on Cannon Willis. He's a new third baseman for the second game. Gabe Simmons, the shortstop, steps in there, the graduate of Nation Ford High School, heading to Gaston College next season to continue his career. He's having a good season here as well as he did at Nation Ford this season.
And that's the beautiful thing for this Fort Mill offense. And through the first 7 games, 4-3 is the record, but a little misconception there as that pitch is swung on a foul straight back. If you look at the games Fort Mill has lost, they've been low-scoring affairs except for one, the 10-9 loss to Winsboro, where Fort Mill left you, me, and 3 dead people on the base pads. And that's been the secret sauce. If Fort Mill hits well with runners in scoring position, they're probably going to have a good chance to win. There was a 3-2 loss to Winsboro, a 10-9 loss to Winsboro, and a 2-0 loss by Rock Hill. So 3 losses by combined 4 runs. That's not exactly getting donkey stomped.
No, not at all. And they have been lighting it up lately on the offensive end, and that's a bullet out into the left or right center, pardon me. The right fielder gloves, and it'll be a one-out base hit for Gabe Simmons, runners at the corners.
And Nico
For Scott
Bartolotti
Young.
all the way to third. That's it. Here's Scott Young.
Next up for Fort Mill Post 43, first baseman number 24, Scott Young.
And if you're Coach Reynolds down there, you're thinking, oh, no, here we go again.
Here
Except
we
this time
go
there's
again.
actually one out in the bottom of the first inning, but runners on the corners for Fort Mill.
By the way, if you're a Braves fan, Travis d'Arnaud just jacked a 474-foot home run. It's 3-0 Braves. Gabe takes off for second base. That
You
pitch
better
is
get
swung
back.
on and roped into right field. The right fielder's got a beat on it. He'll make the catch. That'll chase Gabe back to the first base bag. Bartolotti will tag up and come home to score. And Fort Mill draws first blood. It's 1-0.
A long fly ball out to right field and scores the run. Gabe Simmons gets back to first in time.
One complete for Fort Mill Post 43, center fielder number 5, Zach Jennings.
And here comes Zach Jennings, and he's going to look to move Simmons over as well. Simmons with great speed, led Nation Forward in stolen bases this season.
Snap throw to first. That'll chase Gabriel Simmons back to the bag. Remember his junior year, he wanted to be known as Gabriel?
Yes.
I walked up to him and was like, I'm not calling you Gabriel. I love you, kid. I really do with all my heart, but you're Gabe. That pitch is swung on and fouled out of play by Zach Jennings.
He's a lot of fun. Every time I go down into the dugout, he's
He's
always
a
like,
goober.
Mr. Cook, Mr. Cook, how's
He's
it
a
going?
goober, man.
Yeah.
Gabe Simmons, man.
He and my son, they communicate pretty regularly. Got to love his flash. And he's off and running, and he's going to get there easily. Ball down in the dirt to even the count 1-1, and Simmons in scoring position with 2 outs.
So another stolen base for Gabe Simmons and another stolen base for Fort Mill. That's Gabe's third stolen base in the last 2 nights, and that's stolen base number 7 in the last 2 nights for Fort Mill. Are you getting the picture? Timeout called by the catcher. In other words, are you smelling what I'm cooking?
I smell it. But are they as good as Post 43's hamburgers that we had between games?
Oh,
Probably
outstanding
not.
job. Thanks for everybody who's volunteering tonight from the Post. They're doing an outstanding job. The 1-1 swung on and roped into center field, and the center fielder's going to play it on a hop. Gabe Simmons will get the windmill. He will come on and score, and Fort Mill's piling it on. It's 2-0.
One to play for Fort Mill Post 43, the right fielder number 11, Sam Chiz.
Sam Chiz coming to the plate. 2-0 Fort Mill. And another one of those Clover guys that just played outstanding all season long, and following him into the Legion season, he is not breaking stride at all.
Zach Jennings continues to just be red, stinking hot.
That's another thing I've noticed. Jennings has been on fire lately, and he showed it right there. Center fielder really had no chance to get to that ball, so he pretended like he was going to grab it, but still with 2 outs, Simmons is on the move anyway. And another bullet out in the center field. That one will get caught for out number 3, but not before 2 runs, 3 hits. No errors and 1 man left on base, or actually 1 error, pardon me. We head to the top of the second inning.
1 error. Man left. We head to the second inning. Your score is Fort Mill 2, Cherryville 0.
2-0, we head to the top of the second.
Leading off the top of the second inning for Cherryville.
Right fielder number 20, Ethan Guy.
2-0 Fort Mill, top of the second inning. Ethan Guy will come to the plate for Cherryville here to lead off the inning. And one of those innings, just like Florence had in game number 1, Fort Mill gets on top in the first. Pitch from Ross, inside corner for a strike.
And I'm going to repeat myself one more time. I am so thrilled to be able to look out at Lane Ross and go get him, kid. This is great because I have admired him from a distance for quite a while. And Lane, when he was a junior player, he's one of the, like you said in the first inning, he's just one of those young men you pull for. And then you meet the parents, and they're just great people. And he's just the sweetest young man. But when he walks between those painted lines, he's a different.
Watch out.
He's an animal. That pitch is swung on and fouled out of play.
Throwing mostly strikes so far. 0-2 the count on Guy. Will Fowler, the first baseman, on deck. Oh boy, I thought he was going to ring him up.
I think it stayed a little bit high if you're being particular.
Yes. 1-2 the count. He tries to go on the other side of the plate. That evens the count at 2-2.
Tried to drop the slider in the back door. Great idea, though. Good call by Biscuit.
That'll get through to center field for a base hit.
Hit pretty hard, right back where it came from. First base knock of the night for Cherryville. And the leadoff man aboard for Fowler.
Point to play for Cherryville. The first baseman, number 4, Will Fowler.
Will Fowler steps on there with a leadoff runner at first base in the form of Ethan Guy. Lane Ross takes a look over to him at first base and delivers. Looked like it caught the outside corner, but it must have stayed a little bit further out, 1-0.
And the base hit that Lane just gave up, it wasn't a bad pitch. It maybe caught a little too much of the plate if you wanted to be picky about it. It wasn't like it was a meatball and he threw it right down the heart of the plate. It was just a little too much, but down. Just sometimes the batter just does a better job on a pitch, and that happens.
2-0 the count. Fouls that away, strike one. And just looking from Lane from this angle, he almost reminds me of a slightly taller Jeffrey Madoff.
Yeah, he definitely has the blue eyes. It's just the red hair and about 20 more pounds, and you'd have Jeffrey.
Right.
Yeah,
He was a workhorse. The 2-1 pitch. Right back up the middle again. Gabe can't get there. Runners at first and second with nobody out.
Cherryville not going away without a fight, nor would you have expected them to. Next batter will be Huss.
That batter is left fielder number 9, Colin Huss.
This is the first time we've seen Huss at the plate because he was DH for in game 1. Left-hander. He's a right-handed pitcher, though. And it just wasn't his night in game 1.
So first and second, nobody out. Corner infielders even with the bag. Middle infielders looking for 2. Pitch. Oh, boy. Looked like he caught the outside corner. High, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah. A tight strike zone so far for the gentleman behind the plate, but it's been that way for both pitchers. So that's all you can ask for. Lane Ross is going to do what I affectionately call the pirouette.
Yes. He might be able to go work in Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker in the offseason. That looked like a good pitch, too, but it must have been a little bit outside.
I think, Keith, you watch too many movies, brother. And now
Well,
that's going to bring a visit to the mound by Travis Collier.
I had to go see that play twice at Ovens Auditorium as a kid during school.
Travis saw something in the delivery he didn't like because Coach Collier, I've been around him for 10 years, and I'm very loyal to him because he gave me my first shot. I owe him the seat that I'm sitting in today would not have been possible without him. So I owe him a huge gratitude I'll never be able to repay. But where I'm going with it is I'm knowing long enough he has 2 walks to the mound. He's got that walk where he's on a mission, right? Then he's got what I call the human rain delay walk, where he's just trying to buy time.
Right.
That one, he's got something to say. And normally it's a one-way conversation. He gets his point across. Now, right there, he's resetting Lane Ross.
Yep.
But he's also telling the defense, hey, guys, throw this, right? Expect this pitch. Scouting report says this. Hey, get the next out. Just get the next out, right? Whatever you do here, but look out for the bunt. because that was so Nico's got to play even with the back because there's a runner at second.
And a difficult situation with a left-handed hitter because if he's going over to that right side, that'll make the double play that much harder to get. 3-0 now the count on Huss.
And nobody is more frustrated than Lane Ross because he was perfect in the first inning, and that one's right down Tom Hall Street at the knees. 3 balls and a strike.
And if you've noticed, a lot of times when a guy takes a 3-0 count and decides to start walking down to the plate, down to first base before the call, they
Yep.
call a strike.
They call a strike. Yep.
Swing and a miss. Woo. Runs it full. So Lane Ross battling back. Whatever Coach Collier said to him seems to be working.
Offensive timeout here, and I think what Coach Reynolds is a little disturbed by was what is affectionately known as a daddy hack. And that's a pitch. It's a 3-1 pitch. Now, generally speaking, on a 3-0, you take, he did. Now on a 3-1, you're looking for a strike, but I was taught you look for your pitch, whatever your happy place is. So if it's not exactly in that happy place, don't hack at it. Don't swing at it.
And that looked like it was ball 4.
It did.
And that's probably what
It did. It looked low and inside.
Coach Reynolds
100%.
is talking about right
yes,
now.
Yes, sir. I agree with you 100%. Payoff pitch. Do here to Colin Huss from Lane Ross. Here it comes. Swung on and a slow roller. Too slow to get 2. Brink will go to second for 1, and that'll be all Fort Mill gets. It'll be a fielder's choice. It'll go 4-6 on the put out. Out number 1, runners at the corners for Mays.
And if you notice something that Gabe did down there at second base when he grabbed the ball from Brink, he looked over to third first. He wasn't even thinking about trying to get the runner down at first base.
Oh, he was waiting to see if that runner at third just kind of lackadaisically came around the pillow at third, and Gabe Simmons will turn it loose. He has no problems throwing behind a runner.
He was hoping the guy would be napping on the job. The pitch, whoa, got away from Lane, and he's looking at his hand thinking, wait a minute, why did you do that?
Well, I think that was a combination of 2 things. I think he was trying to guide that. He didn't quite turn it over, but he didn't come over the top of that front foot. You got to finish. And I think Lane's just a little out of sorts mechanically at the moment.
The 1-0 pitch. Down in the dirt for ball 2. Mays pitched a little bit in game number 1 against Florence. And he was probably in a tough situation there, being down 15-2. Here comes the pitch. He hits it right back to Gabe. Gabe will step on the bag, or he'll take it to Brink, and unfortunately can't get the double play and the run scores. But 2 outs here in the top of the second.
Fielder's choice, it'll go 6-4. Scoring on the play will be Guy, and it's 2-1 for Willis.
Next up for Cherryville is the third baseman, number 7, Ken Willis.
Kenan Willis also got in the game at the kind of towards the end of game number 1 against Florence Post 1. He stands in there with a runner at first. Ball's outside for ball 1.
Tried to start him with the slider, and you can look at Lane Ross, and although I haven't seen him a lot, I've seen him enough to know right now he's frustrated. He's just trying to find it, and it's almost coming across like he's trying too hard. And I think it's just my humble opinion, and I don't know jack squat. You can ask my wife. I don't know nothing. But it looks like to me, sometimes when you're a little tight, you're not comfortable on the bump. Sometimes your pitches are a little off. And that was a favor right there. Willis went fishing on a pitch that was way outside the zone. Thank you, sir. May I have another?
That was at the bottom of the pond. 1-1 the count.
Little over anxious there.
Swinging a miss on something outside. So Lane's got him fooled a little bit. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the old number 2 right here, 1-2 the count.
Yeah, on a 1-2 count, if I'm the catcher, Hunter, I'm trying to call a fastball low and away or up in the kitchen. There's the breaking ball. 2-2 the count. So deuces are wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. We're in the second inning. It's 2-1 good guys.
And we don't want to see 2-2 good guys. Let's say, or tie with the good guys. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Way up in the air, but the right fielder,
Sam Chiz
Sam
got
Chiz
underneath
will
it.
grab that one for out number 3.
Cherryville picks up 1 run on the back of 2 base hits, no errors, and 1 man left. We head to the bottom of inning number 2. Your score is now Fort Mill 2.
1 run, 2 hits, no errors, and a man left. Head to the bottom half of the second
Major
inning.
League Baseball,
With your
top
score,
of the
Fort Mill
third
2
inning in the ATL,
and
Braves 3,
Cherryville 1.
Colorado nothing.
You're listening to the North Carolina, South Carolina American Legion Baseball Challenge here at Fort Mill High School on the We Are Fort Mill Broadcasting Network on YouTube. We'll be right back. Jonathan Barshout will lead off for Fort Mill in the bottom of the second inning. I mean, you want to talk about a guy towards the end of the season who just started tattooing balls for Catawba Ridge. This is the man. He fouls this one straight back.
Yeah, all he did last night was he hit a double that hit off the top of the wall, and then he actually hit the actual top of the wall for a 3-run bomb. One of 3 home runs hit by Fort Mill last night. The 0-1 high and the side 1-1. And I tried desperately last night as I tried to go to sleep at around 1 a.m. Welcome
Me
to our
too.
world.
Right.
This is how, if you want to be a broadcaster or PA guy, welcome to the third shift or second shift. That pitch is swung on and a one-hopper right to the third baseman. He'll sling it across the diamond. Route number 1, here comes Biscuit.
Walking to the plate for Fort Mill Post 43, the catcher number 12, Hunter Biscay.
Hunter Viscaya comes to the plate with 1 out in the bottom of the second. Another one of those Clover superstars. And every time he got into the box against Nation Ford this season, I thought, oh, man, here it comes. Here it comes. He was just ready to explode at all times. And the first pitch is outside, ball 1.
And speaking of one of the 3 home runs, Biscuit hit one of them, and it was a tank.
Yeah. Catches the inside corner for a strike.
Now, his father, Eddie, and I have a disagreement. I think it was because Hunter went back into the cage and worked hard. His father, Eddie, thinks it's because I changed his walk-up song back to what it used to be, which is Cherry Pie. So, a little superstition going on there. But I love Eddie. I love Hunter. These Clover kids have been great. I love all these kids. Catawba Ridge, Fort Mill, Nation Ford. And I think initially with the Nation Ford kids who don't know me, they know of me, but they don't know me.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of like, okay, am I supposed to like this dude? That pitch just swung on and drilled. Deep left center field. The center fielder on his horse into the,
Wow,
run it down
he
in
did.
the
He
gap.
grabbed that one, corralled it in.
Hunter just missed it.
Riley Stiles with a nice running catch for out number 2.
One to the plate for Fort Mill Post 43, second baseman number 1, Drew Brink.
And I think as time goes by, and you and I are both broadcasting for both schools, that they do start realizing who we are, and it's a good thing, I think. And probably, we've had the stories, we've talked about how in the past you'd think that, well, here comes the Fort Mill broadcasting guy. Oh, great, I can't talk to him. But it's not like that anymore.
No, it's not like that at all. And I agree with you 100%. I think that pitch is called a strike to Drew. And I think, like Lane and Drew, for example, they weren't quite sure what to do with me because technically I'm on staff with Fort Mill Post 43, just like you are. And that pitch is swung on and missed. It's 0-2. But I think what I did was I broke the ice with him. I basically put my arm around him and said, hey, kid, we're one family now.
Yep.
Right. Put all that NAFO Fort Mill nonsense to bed. We're trying to win baseball games. That pitch is swung on and hit right back where it came from into center field. A two-out base knock for Drew Brink.
Back to the top of the lineup, and Eli Craddock.
Back to the top of the order for Fort Mill, and designated hitter number 10, Eli Craddock.
The coaches also talk about how they'd probably talk about the PA guys and the broadcasters and say, look, these guys are
Idiots.
in it for you. Well, they say that all the time. But especially when you come together as a town,
Yes.
you take the colors off and you're in the red, white, and blue of Fort Mill Post 43.
It's kind of like the Hank Hill thing. My God, are you still talking? Also, what's appropriate in that show to us is that boy ain't right.
Down in the dirt, ball one.
That's a curveball, but it has a lot of glove side movement to it. 11-5 to Elijah Craddock. Eli's mom and dad are in the house tonight. I saw them as I walked around. Good to see them at the park. Pitch, called a strike.
Oh, that looked a little low, so things are getting a little inconsistent.
His parents, Missy Curtis, John Jennings, a lot of people along the way have given a lot of feedback to me, both good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah.
I'm extremely thankful for that because let's be honest about it. If you don't get honest and true feedback, how are you supposed to grow? And Keith and I are both kind of green at this deal, but we're going to give it our best shot and hopefully put on a good show for you folks watching wherever you may be across the fruited plains. That pitch is swung on and a hard ground ball to the shortstop. He has a double clutch and throw to first. You're not going to beat Eli.
Oh,
they
he did. Just in time.
What an awful call. That's a terrible call. But it's out number 2 for Bartolotti. Noah to retire the side.
Retiring the side. No runs, one hit, no errors, one man left. And we head to the top half of the third inning with your score remaining: Fort Mill 2, Cherryville 1. You're listening to the North Carolina, South Carolina American Legion Baseball Challenge on the We Are Fort Mill Broadcasting Radio Network. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, Athletic Director Mac Banks in the house. He's been working his rear end off to make sure that this tournament goes off without a hitch, and his lovely wife in the stands with him and his daughter. Good to see them out here at the ballpark. And Lane Ross getting ready to get underway here in inning number 3 with Fort Mill leading 2-1.
We talked about in the previous game, we talked about out-kicking your coverage. That slider misses high and away. Mac Banks certainly did that. His wife, Rebecca, is just a sweetheart, and their daughter, Lauren, those big baby blue eyes, she'll just melt your heart in two. That pitch off the corner, 2-0, and Mac complains all the time about chasing around, and I told him last night, I tell him all the time, when you get to our age, you'll take those days back in a heartbeat, and that pitch is overcooked. It's 3-0.
Absolutely. I can't believe my baby's going to be 23 in August.
Yep. My baby turns 21 on Tuesday.
Wow.
That pitch, 4-pitch walk.
Where has the time gone?
It's gone by too quickly, my friend. Back to the top of the order we go in Styles.
Back to the top of the order for Cherryville. In the center field, number 14, Riley Styles.
It looks like Landon Jenkins will be the courtesy runner for the catcher, Reed Stroop.
Courtesy runner at first base for Cherryville, number 27, Landon Jenkins.
Riley Styles comes up to the plate here in the top of the third inning. He grounded out to short his first time up. Lane Ross looks over to first base. Here comes the pitch. Fakes the bunt. The ball gets away from Biscuit, and the runner will get down to second base. tying run in scoring position now for Cherryville. And Biscuit fixing his shoe a little bit. Having a little chat with the Cherryville Post 100 players down there, talking about where they're going to go get themselves a banana split after the game.
Oh, dude, there's a misconception about Biscuit. A lot of people think that right there he's trash talking. He's actually not. He's just being cool.
He's
just
having
being
a fun
like,
time.
He's like, hey, man, I screwed that one up, didn't I? Like, he's just that kind of kid. He's going to square around a bunts at third base side. It's a beaut. The only play is no play. And Lane Ross does the right thing. He sticks it in his pocket. Nothing good would have come from that. So runners at the corners, nobody out for Brockman.
Now that goes to shortstop number 15, Zane Brockman.
Zane Brockman, the shortstop, comes up for his second set of hacks here. The left-handed hitter has runners at the corner with nobody out. Let's see if Lane Ross can put the pedal to the metal and get out of this jam.
That ball was mere inches away from going foul, but alas, it stayed fair. That pitch is swung on and drilled in the left center field. It's going to drive in the tying run and probably do more than that. Jennings just digging it out. Relay throw comes in. They're going to send the runner. Gabe Simmons will stick in his pocket. A 2 RBI single off the bat of Brockman, and Cherry will take their first lead of the night. It's 3-2.
Nice piece of hitting from the left side and just kind of sliced it between the left field and center fielder. And I was able to bring 2 runs across, and that'll bring up the second baseman, Ashton Pope.
Head coach Tom Skula.
And Tom Skula comes to relieve Lane Ross of his duties for the night. And let's see who they're going to be bringing in. I can't exactly see over there. Nick Kreis will come in for Fort Mill. And while he has his warm-ups, we'll take a break for station identification. You're listening to the North Carolina, South Carolina American Legion Baseball Challenge on the We Are Fort Mill Broadcasting Network. And we'll be right back.
Oh, I feel your pain. Boy, do I feel your pain. See, men have this problem, ladies and gentlemen, is that their mouth goes faster than their brain. Happens all the time. That's why we say stupid stuff. Pitch in the dirt. Outside the zone, ball 1. Tell me I'm wrong. No, I was waiting for somebody to say, yeah, you're wrong, because that's what I'm used to. That's what I'm used to. That's right, yeah. Pitch from Nick Kreis. Breaking ball swung on and missed. 1-1 is the count. There's the old Uncle Charlie right over the top. Yep. Nick Kreis, a graduate of Fort Mill High School. He's going to Curry College, which is in Massachusetts, to continue his career. Pitch swung on and rifled foul, 1-2 the count. And he's one of these youngsters, the brothers Kreis. His younger brother David was a Nation Ford Falcon first 2 years of his career, transferred to Fort Mill so the brothers could play one last time as brothers, and unfortunately that didn't end the way we all wanted it to with a state championship. But Fort Mill went to the playoffs, and selfishly as a Fort Mill broadcaster, I'm glad to have David. He's a great kid. Both Nick and David, just great kids. The 1-2 from Kreis swung on and hit a mile high, not very deep, left field, coming over his Barshow, and he will simply run out of time. And Barshow was playing way over in the gap, so he had a really long way to go. Gage Simmons gave it a look-see as well, but a ball and 2 strikes to Pope. It's 3-2 Cherryville. I'm real surprised the umpires let that go. Nick checks the runner at second, comes plateward, breaking ball, swung on and fouled off into the Cherryville dugout, third base side. And that's Nick Kreis's pitch right there, that breaking ball. When he can spin that thing and it drops off the table with that little glove side run it's got, it's nasty. And it makes his fastball look about 6 to 7 miles an hour faster. 1-2. Swung on and missed. Down goes Pope. Ethan Guy. Breaking ball swung on and hit foul past Nico Bartolotti at third. I think you just made up a word. Hundreders? Okay. I don't know. Easy with the language there, boss. You can't say that on the air. George Carlin. The 7 things you can't say on television. Those were the days. You should walk into a bank, go right up to the teller and say, I need change for a nickel. That was George Carlin. What a genius. That pitch in the dirt. Nice stop by Biscuit. Squeeze the old 5-hole before the ball could just weasel its way through. Saves 90 feet. So a runner at second, 1 out. Cherryville has retaliated with 2 runs here in the top of the third. They take the lead 3-2. So Fort Mill got their work cut out for them. And we talked about this, Keith, after the first game. This is a different looking Cherryville team from the team that played Florence. That pitch is swung on and a hard ground ball to Nico. He's going to look the runner back to third, throw to first in time. Nice play by Bartolotti. Facebook show. I would fall into that category. Put that in the book, by the way, as a wild pitch. It was in the dirt. So technically, if it's in the dirt, a lot of times the scorebook keeper will call it a wild pitch. And the gentleman doing our game changer is sitting down below us. Yep. Wow. Nick Kreis covers his mouth with his glove because he thought he got that one in the zone. And there's a massive difference between 1-1 and 2-0. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it's a lot, especially with the runner at third. Mm-hmm. Yep. 2-0 from Nick. That one's called a strike. And I think it's 3-1. And the gentleman behind the plate does confirm that it is 3 balls and a strike. So again, if you're Fowler right here, look for your pitch. That pitch is swung on and a ground ball to Nico. He'll smother it. The throw to first is offline, but Scott Young will tag him on the way by. 2 runs on 2 hits, no errors, and a man left. We have the bottom of the third inning. It's 3-2 Cherryville.
Base hits, 2 errors, and 1 man left. We're in the bottom of inning number 3, which is score Cherryville 40 and Portland 2. Update in other innings in the College World Series. They're in the bottom of inning number 4, 4-1. Virginia nothing. Bottom of the 4th inning in the ATL. Good news, Braves fans. Atlanta 5, Colorado 6. Leading up the bottom of the inning number 3 for Portville Post 43. Third baseman number 16, Nico Bartolotti.
Nico Bartolotti to the plate. And he hits it down to first base, and nice play by the first baseman who tosses it over to the pitcher. I don't think he knew what he wanted to do with that pitch.
Little PFP action right there.
Right, right.
1 up and 1 down for Gabe.
One to the plate for Portville, the shortstop number 3, Gabe Simmons.
Gabe Simmons comes to the plate, and while he gets ready to take a hack, I'm proud to announce the sponsors of the 2023 Post 43 baseball program: Carter Lumber, Valentine and Beyond Moving, Palmetto Family Hearing, Shelco, Allstate Carla Endress, Founders Credit Union, Comporium, Allen Tate Realtors, Sonny's Real Pit Barbecue, and Blue Cross Blue Shield. Thank you to all of our sponsors this year, and folks, please make sure to visit them for all of your services and needs. Ball 2 to Gabe Simmons. John and I were talking during the middle of the inning, trying to figure out who all these parents are. They look all familiar, and I just can't, I can't grasp. So
Yeah, me neither.
I apologize if you come and say hello to me, and I look at you like I've never seen you before. A 4-ball walk to Gabe Simmons. And there's 1 man aboard with 1 out for Scott Young.
Coming from Portville, first baseman number 24, Scott Young.
Yeah. Thanks. Scott Young to the plate with 1 out, and the speedy Gabe Simmons on the base paths. Here comes the pitch. And he hits it down to the third base line. That's going to be trouble if he can get him. He does, just in time, out number 2.
Yeah, that's one of those plays where you might have had a little quicker runner, could have had a different outcome, but Scott unfortunately blessed with catcher speed, so that's out number 2. But Gabe's up to second base for Zach Jennings.
This number 4, Post 43, center fielder number 5, Zach Jennings.
Gotta love the nice 70s music to Zach Jennings' walk-up tune.
Bobby Caldwell, ladies and gentlemen. The smooth emanating sound from Mr. Caldwell.
Here's the pitch to Zach. And he hits it to the right side. The right fielder will give it chase, but to no avail. 0-1 the count. I think that kid just ran a half mile to get over there to that corner near the trees and the tarp.
And it goes back to what we were talking about in the first game of the tournament, Cherryville versus Florence. Just the absolute large plethora amount of space, if you will, gargantuan amount of foul territory here at Fort Mill High School. It's a good 30 feet of foul territory down both lines. So you can run 100 feet all you want, and you still might not get to the baseball. So
and not even close, really, sometimes.
Yeah, and you go to some ballparks where you have 10 or 15 feet of space. But
and then you get the fence. You get to eat some fence. The 1-1 pitch. Down in the dirt.
Nice stop by the catcher. Because Gabe Simmons, as you stated earlier, he gets very liberal with his leads.
Nice crowd out here at the ballpark. The Cherryville faithful stuck around, and they're enjoying the fact that they did stick around because it was blazing hot in game one, and now they're starting to get a cool evening. And of course, the Fort Mill faithful are always here in droves, and it's nice to see all of them here as well. The Ross family sitting right below us, enjoying the ball game with their entire family. The 2-1 up high, but it's called a strike. I don't know about that one. That looked like it was up in Zach's eyes.
Deuces are wild. Runner at second. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Fort Mill going to tie it. Going to have to do it.
There's a lot of room on the
2
right
outs.
side for Jennings to poke it through, and Gabe would score easily. And that's where he tries to go, and he fouls it off to the right side.
But you're 100% right. Exactly what Zach was trying to do. And to me, that's part of the reason Zach has caught fire is instead of trying to hit the ball as hard as he can, he's now just poking it in spots. He's just putting the barrel through the zone as much as he possibly can and keep it there as long as he can and find a hole somewhere.
2-2 the count. Here comes the pitch. And he hits to the right side, and Gabe's going to score easily.
Gabe's flying around third. Don't even bother throwing the ball, but they do throw the ball. It's an RBI single off the bat of Zach Jennings, and Fort Mill ties it up at 3.
And Zach must be listening to what we're saying up here because he did exactly what we said was possible for him. That right side was wide open. You could put 18 trucks through there.
This is for Fort Mill's right fielder, number 11, Sam Chiz.
Sam Chiz comes to the plate with 2 outs in a tie game here in the bottom of the third inning. 2-out RBI single by Zach Jennings, and we're tied up at 3 in the pitch. Down on the dirt, ball 1.
That's been the other thing for Fort Mill Post 43 as of late. It almost comes across like you get 2 outs on Fort Mill, and it's like they got you where they want you.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just because you got 2 outs, and that kind of is when Fort Mill gets started. That pitch clips the outside corner. There was a game last week where Fort Mill scored double-digit runs, and all but 2 of them were with 2 outs.
Up high for ball 2, and you got to like that about a team that is they get to their 2 outs and they figured, hey, we still have an opportunity to score. And Nation Ford did that a lot this season. Scored a lot of runs with 2 outs. They just never gave up.
Under first-year head coach Jeff Stack, that pitch is swung on,
Again
and it's
through the
roped
right
through the
side.
whole right side. Sam Chiz, what Zach can do, Sam can do as well. And that keeps the line moving for Barshow.
And he just pitched it where the ball. He just hit it right where the ball was pitched.
Up back to Fort Mill, left fielder, number 8, Jonathan Marshall.
Now all of a sudden, Barshow has the go-ahead run out at second base with 2 outs, and this Fort Mill team is delivering their 2-out magic again. And Barshow has been hot since the middle of the high school season. Takes that inside pitch for a strike.
And the thing about Jonathan, I have obviously seen him play because Fort Mill's played Catawba Ridge several times, but as I've watched him this last 2 weeks, I didn't realize he had that much power.
Right.
And that pitch is whistled down the third base line. It's a fair ball inside the corner. Zach Jennings hits the bag at third. He will mosey on in. Sliding into third and get in the windmill. Here he comes around. Will Sam score from first? He will. And Fort Mill takes the lead back. It is now 5-3. In all of this,
with two
outs.
outs. And it looks like Coach Reynolds is going to come out to the mound. And while he does that, we'll take a timeout for station identification. You're listening to the North Carolina, South Carolina American Legion Baseball Challenge on the We Are Fort Mill Broadcasting Network. We'll be right back. Hunter Busquet comes to the plate with two outs here in the bottom of the third inning. Fort Mill has plated 3 runs here in the bottom of the third, and Jonathan Barshow out at second. And that ball's thrown behind Biscuit, and Barshow will get to third easily. And I don't know if you call that a wild pitch or a pass ball.
Nope, wild pitch. And I'll explain, or I'll make my argument this way. That pitch was supposed to be on the outside corner and low. That was high and inside. Your catcher's got to reach across. Yeah, he got a glove to it. But if he has to go all Spider-Man and it kisses off the top of his glove, I'm charging that to the pitcher.
Catches the inside corner for a strike to even the count at 1-1.
Hunter had been in a slump until last night when he laid down a beautiful sacrifice bunt, had a sac fly, and then a mammoth home run. The pitch swung on, and here's a little duck snort into right field, but hit hard enough to glide to the right fielder, and that'll retire the side. 3 big runs on 3 hits, no errors, and a man left. We head to the 4th inning. It's 5-3. Good guys.
Colin Huss, Colton Mays, and Cannon Willis due up for Cherryville here in the top half of the 4th inning, with Fort Mill leading 5-3. Swing and a miss for strike 1.
Big Daddy Hack right there, trying to send that bad boy back to the old North State. That pitch is swung on and hit a mile high into right field. Sam Chiz coming in, still coming in. Now he'll settle under it. He'll rip it out of the Milltown sky for out number 1. Quickly 1 down, and that will take us to Mays.
That ball was so high up in the air that Chiz started running in. He goes, uh-oh.
Designated hitter number 30.
Maybe I should backpedal 1 step or 2.
And the umpire goes to the lineup card. I'm looking at the gentleman that's on deck, and I don't know what that's about. I'm looking at the Fort Mill defense. I don't see any subs there. So I'm not 100% sure what that conversation's about. That pitch is swung on, and just a little Ric Flair. Woo! Out into right center field.
Zach Jennings brings it in, and they've got their first runner aboard with one out here in the top of the fourth inning for the third baseman, Cannon Willis. And this is a Cherryville team that their body language is completely different than what we saw in game one, because after Florence got that big lead, they just kind of shut down.
They did. That pitch is swung on and fouled off right at home plate for strike one.
And despite that, they had a lot of fight in them in the top half of the fifth inning. And you figured that was just to kind of carry them into this game. And so far, it's been a dogfight.
That pitch in the dirt, breaking ball out of the hand of Nick Kreis.
1-1 with one out.
In a what can only be described as a back and forth affair. That pitch is swung on and rifled down the third base line, but it's a foul ball.
And that was fortunate that didn't get down into the corner, or else it'd be 5-4.
John, that was not me. I promise. I swear to you. And on a good hook, yes. Yeah.
And to quote Leisure McCorkle, it wasn't me. Swing and a miss for strike three, out number two here in the top half of the fourth inning. And that'll
Batting the catcher number 17, Reed Stroop.
Reed Stroop, the catcher, now comes up to the plate. Nick Kreis pitching very well here tonight. Swing and a miss by Stroop.
By the way, that strikeout recorded by Nick Kreis, that's the first strikeout for him, only the second K tonight. And normally Fort Mill pitching will get you some swings and misses, but not so far tonight with this Cherryville squad. And Keith, you're all over it. You're like a bee on honey. This Cherryville team looks totally different than the one that just played Florence, and that's baseball. But we kind of knew this. There's a lot of pride in that Cherryville program. There's a lot of good dudes over there that can play the game of baseball, and they're not going away without a fight. Now, it's been back and forth. Fort Mill took the lead. Cherryville got the lead 3-2. Now Fort Mill's got it 5-3. It's starting to feel like one of those games that could get to that 10-8 kind of thing. Pitch, and it comes inside. Does it hit him? And I think it's called a foul ball.
I'm trying to figure out how that happened.
Well, I think what happened is he tried to check his swing, and when he did, he just got just the slightest of touches on the baseball.
Umpire signals 2-2. I don't know why the runner is down at second base, though.
Because the home plate umpire had called time. Pitch swung on and popped up and out of play. Now, the only other thing that I can think of that got called there very quickly was a balk. Because you think about the pitch, it was outside the zone, but the ball didn't seem to hit the bat. If it did, it was slight, but time was called almost immediately. So it was a dead ball. The only thing that would make it a dead ball is a balk that I can think of.
Yeah,
but I could
must be it.
A million miles wrong.
Well, when we're up here, it's kind of hard to hear what the umpires are saying down there, but that would almost certainly seem to satisfy.
John Jennings literally just confirmed exactly what we were just talking about. And there is a pitch outside the zone. So runners at first and second, 2 down. Back to the top of the order we go, and Styles.
First baseman of Cherryville, number 27, Landon Jenkins. Back to the top of the order for Cherryville and center fielder number 14, Riley Styles.
Riley Styles comes to the plate, and Landon Jenkins is the courtesy runner out of first base. Runners at first and second with 2 outs here in the top of the fourth inning, with Fort Mill leading Cherryville 5-3. Here's the pitch from Kreis, and it stays a little bit high for ball one.
That pitch started at about Styles' eyes, and by the time Biscuit caught it, it was around the thigh.
1-0. That breaking ball stays outside for 2-0.
And you saw Hunter Busquet right there hesitate to throw the ball back right there. That's sort of a body language talk with him, the umpire. He's trying to get a feel for how close his pitcher is to the zone here.
That one's down in the dirt for ball 3.
And there's action in both bullpens. It's definitely anybody's game now. We're in the top of the 4th inning. It's 5-3, but tying runs are on base.
You got the number 2 hole hitter, Zane Brockman, on deck, and that's right down the middle for 3-1. And you knew Styles was taking all the way on that. That'll be a dribbler out to Gabe at short. He'll toss over to Brink at second base, and that'll retire the side. No runs, a hit, no errors, and 2 left on base. We head to the bottom of the 4th inning. The score, Fort Mill 5 and Cherryville 3. You're listening to the North Carolina, South Carolina American Legion Baseball Challenge here on the We Are Fort Mill Broadcasting Network. We'll be right back. Drew Brink leads off for Fort Mill in the bottom half of the 4th inning with his team leading Cherryville 5-3. I was just showing JT my koozie for my Coke Zero Lunch with Leezy, Mr. Leisure McCorkle, local musician. And I'll get back to him in just a moment. The first pitch right down Tom Hall Street for strike 1. Leisure playing tomorrow night out in Waxhaw. Then he's taking up residence at our house tomorrow evening before playing at the Riverwalk Grapevine Sunday from 1 to 4. So if you like going to the Grapevine, then you'll hear some good music out there. 0-2 now to count to Drew Brink.
Down low, just start to feel like that the momentum has swung to the third base dugout for Cherryville right there. Yeah, they left 2 guys on, but they still threaten. So if you're Fort Mill, you want to try to take the steam out of them a little bit here. And that pitch is swung on, and that'll do the trick. Drew Brink with a seeing eye single right back where it came from, and the leadoff man aboard. Nice job by Drew.
Looks like we're going to have a change of pitching. A great piece of hitting there by Drew Brink. He hit it right back where the ball came from, off the glove of the pitcher and out in the center field, the leadoff man aboard for Fort Mill.
And this is going to be a Palmetto Family Hearing Center call to the bullpen. Palmetto Family Hearing Center dedicated to serving all their patients' hearing needs with expertise, technology, and personalized care. 2 locations to serve you in Fort Mill and Lancaster, and at PalmettoFamilyHearing.com. Proud sponsor of Fort Mill Post 43 baseball. Other sponsors here in 2023, Carter Lumber, our shirt sponsor. CarterLumber.com, 146 locations, 3 in the QC, 1 in Rock Hill. Ballantyne and Beyond Moving. Whether it's a local, long-distance, international, commercial move, get a quote today at BallantyneMoving.com or call 544-1800. Shelco LLC, a general contractor who provides a wide range of construction services, including planning, construction management, design, build, new construction, building excellence since 1978. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of South Kakalaka. You can shop plans, find an agent, get a quote, and so much more by simply going to southcarolinablues.com. Comporium, whether it's internet, TV, security, wireless, or phone, visit one of the many convenient Comporium locations in the Tri-County area or go to comporium.com. Comporium, your friendly neighborhood tech giant. Please support those who support Fort Mill Post 43 baseball.
And Blue Cross Blue Shield is the Cook household insurance company. They've done us pretty well over the years, I would say.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Down on the bump for Cherryville, post 100, number 7, Cannon Willis.
So Cannon Willis, the second baseman, has moved over to the pitching mound.
Now, I want folks you can't see it on YouTube, folks, so I apologize. But if you look to the right, here, I'll move the camera. Look, that's the Fort Mill bench right now. That's the entire coaching staff, the batter, the runner, and the guy in the hole. All looking at the new pitcher, trying to figure him out, trying to get a gauge on him.
And that's just a smart way of playing baseball. And that's what the coaching staff emphasizes to these young men.
I would argue it's loitering.
Of who? Argue what?
Back to the top of the order for Fort Mill post 43. And designated hitter number 10, Eli Craddock.
Eli Craddock coming to the plate.
It's loitering. This is a public setting, and it's a gaggle of people.
Yep.
Just saying, somebody call. What's the number to 911? 2, 3, 4. That pitch high and inside to Eli.
What color was General Lee's gray horse? 3, 2.
Yeah. Horse walks into a bar. Bartender says, "Why the long face?" Throw over to first, trickles by. While we're on the dad joke bandwagon, I told this one back in the first game. I'll tell it now. It's a little inappropriate, but it's still funny. What's the cheapest meat on the market? Deer balls. They're under $1. I'll see myself out. The 1-0 to Eli Craddock. We should be taking this seriously. Outside the zone, 2-0. But why do that when you can make it fun? Eli's 0 for 2 tonight, but has hit the ball hard twice, but nothing to show for it.
Well, you got to enjoy yourself when you're up here in the booth and enjoying the game that we love so much with the team that we love so much. The 2-0, 1-0.
Clips the outside corner. 2 balls and a strike to Craddock. Drew Brink is at first base. Nobody out. We're in the bottom of the 4th. It's only a 2-run game. It's 5-3 Fort Mill. Pitch, slider, just misses from Cannon Willis.
That was a nice piece of framing by the catcher, Cherryville. He tried to get the strike and couldn't quite get there.
Now, it was the 10-run rule. Florence did beat Cherryville earlier today, 15-4, but they did Fort Mill a favor. That pitch is swung on and hit right up the chute. Who wants it? Second baseman out into the grass, and he'll look up and make the catch for out number 1.
Nice
Here's
play by
Nico.
Ashton Pope.
Marking the play for Fort Mill, the third baseman number 16, Nico Bartolotti.
Nico Bartolotti comes to the plate. He's had a hot bat of late. That was not supposed to be a rhyme, but it was. Just call me Busta.
Busta. Nico is 0 for 2 tonight. However, he has scored a run. You're probably wondering how that happened. It was on a fielder's choice. He got on the base pass, and then he came around to score on the base knock by Barshow. I believe it was. Actually, I take that back. I think it came off of Sam Chiz. Pitch, that stays high. No, okay. No, I was right. It was Zach Jennings who got the 2 RBIs on that ball that technically was misplayed, but a little home cooking, we're not going to call that an error.
Nope.
I think if you're at the major league level, maybe even if you're in D1 college and you're a scorekeeper, you might go down that road. But this is basically high school and college freshman. So Give them a little bit of rope.
2-0 to Nico. Down low for ball 3.
Had a little short conversation with his mama last night, and I walked over and shook her hand and just told her that I loved her kid. And I said, hey, did he come out of your womb with 2 base hits?
He probably
He
did.
probably did. And there's ball 4. Nico is a hitting machine, and he just committed to play baseball at the next level for Brevard College. So congratulations to Nico. Here's Gabe Simmons.
Front plate for Bill. Shortstop number 3, Gabe Simmons.
My man Gabe up at the plate with runners at first and second. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 4th, looking to add a couple of runs here to make the lead a little bit more palatable for Fort Mill fans.
Palatable.
Yeah, that's my
Big word.
50-cent word for the night. The
More than
pitch.
3 syllables. That pitch in there for a strike. That's a nasty pitch from Willis.
That is.
And I'm sorry, every time I hear that last name, I think, what you talking about, Willis?
I do too.
Going to bring a visit to the mound.
And I was looking at all of the statistics for all of the juniors teams today. That was a big part of my morning, was to get all the statistics ready. And I kept seeing a guy from Rock Hill named Jackson. It was the same thing. I went back to different strokes because that's what their name was before they were drumming.
We are showing our age. Folks.
Yes.
Yeah, I was in physical therapy this morning, and the PT was talking to our new assistant who was born the year I graduated from Clemson.
Makes you feel young.
Made me feel like I wanted to apply for Social Security and retirement. Where's my AARP card or whatever the heck it is?
I do have one of those already.
I wouldn't have said that out loud. I would have kept that to myself, brother.
The 0-1 pitch to Gabe. Curveball foul away. Strike 2.
Gabe was out on that front foot. You saw him. He tried to stay back, but just could not quite stay back enough. And
He
that's
stays
just
back a split second. He's hammering that ball.
You got it. Yep. Look for the pick play. Second baseman comes in, but now time is called. Gabe saw it. Very wisely called timeout.
So I'm not going to have my guy picked back there at second. Former teammate Drew Brink. I thought that was going out into center field, but the second baseman gloved it just in time. I thought for sure Pope had lost that ball out into center field, and that would have been trouble.
For sure. But it would have been a break for Fort Mill. Because there's runners at first and second. There is one out. There is one out. Yeah, Eli popped out. The pitch. Breaking ball low. Good eye by Gabe Simmons. 1-2 to Simmons, a Nation 4 graduate.
That's one thing about Gabe is that he's not going to get cheated out of an at bat. He's got a great eye up there, and rarely does he go down in three swings. The 1-2. Outside, he just looked that one all the way into the glove of the catcher.
Slider, and he literally just made a motion to the dugout. He's telling the dugout what this kid is throwing, and he's giving signals. This is what I love about this group of kids. They are sharing information like it's going out of style. That pitch, slider off the outside corner, is 3-2. They're like a bunch of guys at the bar. Just every secret known to man is just billowing out.
And that's what you got to hope that these underclassmen are going to take back to their respective schools next spring
100%.
and teach them this type of baseball. The
Payoff
3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Simmons goes down on strikes for the first time tonight. I think he was trying to figure out where the ball was as he was going back.
First baseman number 24, Scott Young.
Brings us to Scott Young. I enjoy the fact that we've got a Scott Young and a Zach Young because my nephew up in Ohio's name is Scott Zachary Young.
No kidding.
Yeah.
How about that?
The pitch.
Good pitch. Breaking ball right on the outside corner at the knees.
First and second, 2 outs. Fort Mill looking to add to their lead, 5-3, and that's inside, but he calls a strike. And Young didn't like that one bit.
He's never had what they call a poker face.
It's a good thing he's not behind the plate tonight.
You
Then
could pillage him in a game of poker. His eyes tell the story.
the 0-2 breaking ball hit high in the air out into left center field. The center fielder is going to come over and make that.
No, they
ball.
dropped it.
Oh, it's
He
dropped.
lost it in the lights.
Wow,
He
how about
lost
that?
it in the lights. The center fielder galloped it over, but they lost it in the lights, and that falls to the ground harmlessly. It'll be a double. It's a run for Fort Mill. It's a run on the house. Thank you very much. We're going to have a pinch hitter. It's Drew Indris.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Mr. Please pitch hitting for Fort Mill, number 6, Drew Andrus.
And just when you thought you'd seen it all today, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, put a star by that one. It'll look like a line drive in the scorebook.
Up high for ball 1 to Indris.
In the art of fairness, in this ballpark at this time of the night, with the lights on, the ball gets above the lights like that, and that ball certainly did it. It was a major league pop. The ball disappears. I know that sounds weird, but you, as an outfielder, if you ever have a chance and you're on a field, even if you're by the screen, I want you to look up into the sky really quickly and then look right back down and look at what your eyes do this time of the day. It's real easy to lose a ball.
We used to play at the old Crockett Park up in Charlotte, where the Charlotte Orioles were the farm team up in Dilworth. And it was the same thing when you had that night sky and you look up, and I was an outfielder, and you look up there and you could easily lose that ball in the twilight.
2-1 pitch is swung on and fouled off by Drew Indris. A 2-2 count here. So deuce is wild. 2 runners on, 2 balls, 2 strikes. We're in the bottom of the 4th. It's 6-3 good guys, but still don't feel very comfortable.
And you never can when you're playing against a team like Post 100 from Cherryville.
Not at all. I don't feel comfortable against anybody in this tournament.
The 2-2 pitch. Wow, that thing moved about 12 feet inside. Strike 3 called, and that'll end the inning. But Fort Mill scores 1.
2 base hits, 2 men left.
2 hits, no errors, 2 men left.
Fort Mill 6, Cherryville 3.
We head to the top of the 5th inning with your score. Fort Mill 6 and Cherryville 3. You're listening to the North Carolina, South Carolina American Legion Baseball Challenge on the We Are Fort Mill Broadcasting Network. We'll be right back. Brockman, Pope, and Guy due up for Cherryville Post 100 in the top of the 5th inning, with Fort Mill leading them 6-3. First pitch from Nick Kreis is outside for a ball.
College World Series going on earlier this afternoon.
College World Series going on earlier this afternoon. Oral Roberts defeated TCU 6-5. Breaking ball in there for a strike. 1-1 is the count. They're in the top of the 7th inning in Omaha. SEC versus Virginia out of the ACC, and it's a scoring fest. It's 1-0 Gators in the 7th. However, being sarcastic, there is a scoring fest going on down in Atlanta. Top of the 6th inning, it's 8-1 Braves. And by the way, Tampa Bay finally cooled off. So guess who has the best record in Major League Baseball?
Is it Atlanta? Wow, how
Chop
about
on.
that?
Pitch, inside corner, called a strike, and the batter had already flung the bat away. That's the second time we've seen a Cherryville player do that. And I'm going to say this out loud because that does not endear you to the heart of the home plate umpire.
Not at all. And I've seen that happen so many times this season. And I think the umpires, as a rule, will take advantage of that. The 3-2, and he slices it to left field. That's
That's
going to be
danger. But coming over, is it Indris? It is.
Yeah, Zendris. Nice play.
Nicely done by Drew, especially this time of the night.
And that ball was slicing away from as a left-handed hitter.
Next up for Cherryville, second baseman number 18, Ashton Pope.
Ashton Pope comes to the plate with one out here in the top of the fifth inning. And if you're Cherryville, it's starting to get late early. And that foul ball, Scott Young will look at it go into the stands. Strike one.
So Drew Enders is into the game in left field, and I think he's in the game for Barshow.
Ball upstairs to even the count 1-1.
Scott Young still at first. Second baseman is Brink. The shortstop is Simmons. Nico's at third. Breaking ball. Oh, that's just nasty. Off the table and on the outside corner. That's illegal in 38 states in the District of Columbia.
But I believe that Indris hit for, and that's strike three, out number two here in the top of the fifth inning. And I think he hit for Zach Jennings, didn't he?
I think so, yes.
So is Zach still out in center field? I imagine so. Now comes Travis with the slow walk.
This is the I want the baseball walk. It doesn't look like he's bringing the hook, though.
No. He's having a little talk with him.
Now, I was wrong on the type of walk it was, but here's the thing. He might want to pull him, but here's why I would not pull him. You're up 6-3, and by the way, Lane Ross didn't go as far as Lane would have hoped to do, obviously. So Nick's come in and kind of held Cherryville in check a little bit. The last thing you want to do is keep going to your bullpen here in game one.
He's definitely got the rudders underneath him.
Next up for Cherryville is the right fielder, number 20, Ethan Guy.
So Guy comes to the plate with two outs, nobody on here in the top half of the fifth inning. Here's the pitch from Kreis. The bender stays a little bit high.
And that visit came with nobody on and two outs. That pitch is sprayed foul and out of play. 1-1. The count to Ethan Guy. 6-3. Fort Mill with the lead. We're at the top of inning number 5. Nobody on and two outs. Pitch from Nick. Swung on and a hard ground ball to third base, but Nico dives and knocks it down. Does he have time to throw the runner? And Scott Young has to dive, and the ball gets by. Scott Young is going to roll all the way into foul territory, hit the fence, and die. That'll go as an well. I'm going to score that a base hit, and I'll tell you why. I think even if Nico jumps to his feet and throws a shot across the diamond, that's a bang play.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. There's no way on earth that he's going to be throwing that runner out.
You got to give the Cherryville batter the benefit of the doubt for crying out loud.
And Guy looked like he was flying down the line at that point. So, yeah, I agree with you. I'd give him the hit as well.
How about first baseman number 4, Will Fowler?
That brings up the first baseman, Will Fowler. He's got a runner in scoring position with two outs here. And can Cherryville do the same thing that Fort Mill's been doing all game and produce with two outs? First pitch. He hits a sky ball out into center field. And if that is Zach Jenkins, no, it's going to be Drew Brink grabbing it in the second base position. For out number 3, Gabe Simmons takes the ball away from him.
One base hit, no errors, and a man left.
No runs, one hit, no errors. And we head to the bottom of the fifth with your score: Fort Mill 6, Cherryville 3. You're listening to the North Carolina, South Carolina American Legion Baseball Challenge on the We Are Fort Mill Broadcasting Network. We'll be right back. Sam Chiz, Jonathan Barshow, and Hunter Busquet due up here in the bottom of the fifth inning. That first pitch to Chiz, a little low for ball one.
So I think you're right, Keith. I think what happened was Indris went to left, Barshow went to center, Chiz stayed in right. That pitch just swung on and roped into right field for a base hit. Sam Chiz, second base hit of the night. He had one last night. And the line keeps going. Here's Barshow.
That's up for Fort Mill. Center fielder number 8, Jonathan Barshow.
Barshow comes to the plate with the leadoff man at first base. And the way he's been swinging the bat, he could move that runner around, and that's what we're hoping for. Sam Chiz at first base, taking a look. Here's the pitch. Curveball, swing and a miss. Took something off that pitch, and Barshow was out in front. Here comes the pitch. Catches the corner for strike two. So quickly in the hole, 0-2 is Jonathan Barshow.
Jonathan 1 for 2 tonight, but with a double and a couple of RBIs.
Cannon Willis looking to apply some pressure to him. Here's the 0-2. Down in the dirt, he gets away, and Sam Chiz will get to second base at the very least, and he's going to take a run for third. The throw's there in plenty of time, and he is out.
So that'll go as a wild pitch and then a caught stealing. So that'll erase Sam off the base pass. That'll be out number 1.
And the way that the catcher was just kind of, we want to say it, lollygagging back to the backstop because the ball just kind of died there at the backstop. Chiz said, what the heck, let's try and get down there to third. The 1-2 pitch. Outside corner, call the ball.
2-2 the count. And you're right. And give the catcher a lot of credit because he hurried everything, but that throw to third was on the
It was
money.
a strike. 2-2. Down the dirt, ball 3, checks the swing. And if you're Chiz, you figure, and this is something that we've talked about a lot as baseball coaches, is that guy's got to make a perfect play in order to throw me out. So
Right.
Why not?
And if he does, you tip
Then
your
so
cap.
be it. Yep.
But more times than not, they're not gonna.
Swing and a miss for strike 3. First strikeout of the night for Willis, and that'll be out number 2 here in the bottom of the 5th. Biscuit steps up to the plate and has some pleasantries with the opposing catcher. Got a big smile on his face, and he should, with his team leading 6-3 late in this game, bottom of the 5th.
Why he has a smile on his face, I don't know. Boy's been up since 5:30, I bet.
Strike
Pitch on
one.
the outside corner. The Busquet family is up before the roosters crow. But when you do what they do for a living, that's kind of what you got to do.
Outside for ball 1.
As Eddie loves to say, daylight's burning.
The 1-1 pitch. And he hammers it down the left side, and it is foul, 1-2.
And it's a good thing that we asked people not to park over there because that would have hit somebody's windshield. But if it did, you can talk to Carla Indra. She's in Indian Land, Allstate Insurance. Are you in good hands? Call her today, 803-802-2655. Proud sponsor of Fort Mill Post 43 Baseball.
A pitch outside to even the count at 2-2.
Like in the major leagues, when they, in between batters, they'll go, now a quick message from Zaxby's.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of sneak that one in there.
Well, that worked perfectly. I
Little
liked
slide
it.
job, yeah. That's my audition to be a pro. That was my old college try at it. I think I failed miserably, but yeah.
So if one gets hit down to Mike Lewis next week and it almost takes his head off, and I'm going to go with Miss Indris's
Going
ad
with
right
that,
there.
Yeah. And by the way, congratulations to Mike and his beautiful bride, little baby girl born. That pitch is swung on and hammered
one
down
will
the
get
left
through.
field line. Is inside the bag of fair ball. Biscuits around first, and he's going to drop anchor. But a solid single for Hunter Busquet. And he's hit the ball twice tonight. Finally has something to show for it. Here's Brink.
Blake Sanders, a courtesy runner for Hunter Busquet, who had a nice hit out there in the left field down in the corner, and he's going to come back in and get ready for inning number 6. Meanwhile, Drew Brink, the second baseman, will come to the plate with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. Swing and a miss. Saw Coach Lewis's wife, Caroline, out at the baseball game a couple weeks ago. It was nice to see her and the baby. They're doing great.
Speaking of someone else who outkicked their coverage.
Yes, indeed. He'll admit that as well.
Yeah, congratulations to Mike and Carolyn. Sweet people. I mean, really and truly, they're just sweethearts, and just so proud of them and happy for them. Little baby girl.
Yo, 1. Up in the zone, but called a strike.
And I guess it's just the 48-year-old old man in me. I just want to hold that baby, just show it all kinds of love, and but that's the community that we live in. I mean, he's an assistant coach at Catawba Ridge. He's the head coach of Fort Mill Post 43 Juniors, but there's a lot of love and respect within the community, in that particular community of coaches and admins and volunteers of the 3 programs.
Yo, 2 up high for ball 1. And I've known Mike many a years from when he started out being the head coach of the JV program at Nation Ford, and just have always enjoyed his zest for the students and the athletic programs.
Brutal honesty. I wish there was more of that in the world today.
Fouled away. And he even said when we asked him to come on to the Mouthy Milltowners, he says, "I'm going to give you some brutal honesty," and we know
honesty, that. Yep. As long as you understand, and he says that you interview him, he's like, "Hey, you understand?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got you, man. That's actually part of the reason you're a great interview."
Yeah.
Because, and don't take this as a slight, but in this day and age, you ask a coach after a game, they're just going to give you the whole, "Hey, one game at a time, and it's part of the process, and this, that, and the other." Mike Lewis doesn't do that.
No, he's
doesn't. Like, "You know what? We did this well tonight, but we sucked over here. We've got to get better at this. I've got to do a better job at just." He's all in, man. It's all in way to say it.
Well, I go down to the dugout after every game just to kind of, unwind a little bit from being in the booth all day. And as soon as I get down there, man, he is on it right away. He said, "This is what we did. I'm excited for this. And, we got to look out for this next week." I mean, he's always got it going on. Yeah. And I love that about him.
That energy is infectious, and it just pulls those junior players. It pulls that talent up. Oh,
called
that's a
strike
perfect
3.
pitch.
And
holy smokes, that's nasty.
Drew Brink goes down on, like JT said, a nasty, nasty curveball, and that'll end the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 man left on base. We head to the top of the 6th. You score Fort Mill 6 and Cherryville 3. You're listening to the North Carolina, South Carolina American Legion Baseball Challenge on the We Are Fort Mill Broadcasting Network. We'll be right back. Pinch hitter Wilt Blackburn comes into the game with his team down 6-3. That's the Cherryville Post 100. They're losing to the P43 guys. Post 43 from Fort Mill, leading 6-3 in the 6th. Nick Price out for his, I believe, fourth inning of work, right?
Yes, sir. That is correct. And the pinch hitter, by the way, is going to be in the 6 hole. That'll replace Colin Huss. Now, normally in American Legion Baseball, you can only courtesy run for the catcher, and there's no reentry. That is not the case in this tournament. That pitch is swung on, and a ground ball right to third baseman Nico. He'll load up, throw across, one up, one down.
Good to see Virginia beating Florida. I'm a ACC guy, as you are, and I rarely will root for Virginia, being a Tar Heel, but I'm rooting for the Hoos all over the place tonight.
And actually, I said he was a pinch hitter. He's actually already in the game. He'd already checked in. That pitch is called a strike. It's a breaking ball from Nick Christ. Nothing doing in the Cherryville pen. There's still action in the Fort Mill pen. And it's still the same cast of characters, Jacob Iverson and Kyle Knoll.
So Landon Jenkins, 1-1 in the count. Down low for ball 2.
Appreciate y'all tuning in tonight wherever y'all may be across the fruited plains. The chat room is open. If you want to say something, good, bad, or ugly, go ahead. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us where you're from. That pitch, slow roller to third baseman Nico Bartolotti, but another nice play. And Nico has 2 putouts here in the 6th.
And that'll bring up the pitcher, Cannon Willis.
This is for Cherryville, number 7, Cannon Willis.
Quick work by Mr. Christ on the mound here in the top of the 6th inning, and it couldn't come at a better time.
This is exactly what the doctor ordered for Fort Mill. Swung on and popped up a mile high out of play right side. Allen Tate, proud sponsor of Fort Mill Post 43. Real estate, mortgage, insurance, or relocation. Contact an agent today or go to allentate.com. Allen Tate, we are home. Pitch in the dirt, takes a bite out of biscuit, and ricochets all the way over to the on-deck circle for Cherryville.
And that must be Reed Stroop. He's got one shin guard on, one off. Swing and a miss. He had a home run cut on that one.
That's quite the fashion statement. And I know what you shouldn't say. Did you see the Instagram post where there's a catcher wearing shorts, but his cup's on the outside?
No.
There's one for you. That pitch, strike 3. 3 up and 3 down goes Cherryville. We head to the bottom of the 6th. Still 6-3. Good guys.
Bottom of the 6th inning here from Fort Mill High School with Fort Mill Post 43 leading Cherryville Post 100 6-3. And
Bringing up the bottom of the 6th inning for Fort Mill. Top of the order and designated hitter number 10, Eli Craddock.
Eli Craddock comes to the plate, the designated hitter. He'll lead off, and he is the leadoff hitter. Fort Mill trying to put this one away. If they can score a couple of runs here in the bottom of the 6th inning, things will be looking pretty well. And he hammers that into the left field corner, and it's going to drop. That'll be at least 2 bases. Although they're going to make a good play out of it right there. That ball hopped off the fence well enough to be able to have a shot at getting Craddock at second, but he slides in safely.
He'll be credited with a double, but he committed a cardinal sin.
Was he looking at the ball?
Walking to the plate for Fort Mill, third baseman number 16, Nico Bartolotti.
That brings us to Nico Bartolotti.
He kept the bat in his hands, and he kind of watched it walk, just kind of jogging up the first base line, and then saw it bang off the blue.
And
tarp.
as a result, he's injured. He jammed his hand down at second base, it looks like. And that's not good.
Yeah, he's in a lot of pain. That's not good. And Eli's a really tough young man. He will not come out of the game even when he's banged up. So that's got to be pretty rough. And the way he's holding that arm, his
I don't
mom
know
and
that
dad
he
are
broke
gonna
it,
go
but
right to him.
he severely sprained it for sure. That what it looks like from here anyway. I don't want to speculate that anything is happening that really isn't, but he's got his glove off and holding his arm up without even moving it down. So hope that it's just something minor. And as soon as we hear something, we'll let you know.
Now running at second base for Fort Mill, number 7, Blake Sanders.
So Blake Sanders will come in and pinch run for Eli Craddock, who's down in the locker room. He's still on the bench, so he must not be as injured as we had hoped, but he tweaked something for sure, and he's just coming out for precautionary measures. Well, at least that's what we're hoping. Bartolotti steps to the plate. Here's the pitch. Right down the middle, but call the ball.
And I'll say this, Eli almost certainly didn't want to come out of the game, but that's a situation where you have to because the young man's health is paramount. It's above anything else.
Swing and a miss by Bartolotti, 1-1. Do you love Fort Mill, the town of Fort Mill? Do you love high school athletics? And join me, JT, and Mac Banks every Sunday night for the Maldy Milltowners podcast, and we will talk everything Fort Mill athletics. Does not catch the corner, 2-1. Right now, we're talking American Legion pretty much.
We are. Could you call that show the Grump, the Crump, and the Dump?
Yeah.
In no particular order.
3 grumpy old men.
That's. I think there was a movie about that. The 2-1 swung on in a slow tapper foul, 2 balls and 2 strikes to Nico Bartolotti.
Mo, Larry, and Curly Joe. We do have fun on the podcast, and if you ever want to be on the podcast, come discuss Fort Mill area high school athletics, please be sure to hit us on up on our Facebook and Twitter accounts.
Please.
2-2.
Pitch
Hammered.
swung on in, hit under the glove of the first baseman into right field. Coming around third with a ball of steam is Blake Sanders. He will touch home plate. There's a little insurance for Fort Mill. That makes it 7-3.
And Bartolotti hammered that ball, and there's no way that the first baseman's gloving that. It had some speed and some spin, gets off his glove. He did enough just to get that close.
Number 3,
To be able to even put a glove on it was pretty remarkable, actually. And that brings up Simmons with a man at first base and nobody out. Oh,
that came up and hit him. Oh, and that got Gabe in the hand.
And it got him also in the bat, so they called it a foul ball. And Gabe is in some pain right now. So that's 2 guys down in this half of the inning, and that's not good. But Gabe, again, he's one of those guys like Eli. He's not going to come out of the game if it's not completely warranted.
Now, we both have our right part of our headset pulled off of our ear to be able to hear noises. And what I heard there was ball hitting a bone. I didn't hear the ping of the bat, but in the art of fairness, that home plate umpire is a mere 2 feet, 3 feet from that. And sometimes you don't hear it when you're this far away. So, but obviously the worry now is for Eli Craddock and Gabe Simmons because 2 huge cogs in the wheel for Fort Mill, both 2 really good players. And I think Gabe might just come out of the game again.
No, he was hit by the pitch. He's going to go down to first base.
Well, I thought that was a hit by pitch.
Yeah.
And now Cherryville's going to ask why, and I don't blame him. Because initially he did call it a foul ball, did he not?
That's what it seemed like.
Yeah.
But Gabe is going down to first base, not coming out of the game. So fortunately, the injury bug hasn't hit him yet. And, hopefully, again, that Eli is okay down there in the Fort Mill dugout.
Yeah, so I just heard what the home plate umpire's explanation was to to the Cherryville bench, and it makes sense. It does.
Walking on the plate for Fort Mill, first baseman number 24, Scott Young.
Scott Young comes to the plate with runners at first and second. Gabe still putting a little dirt on that wrist that just got hit, but he'll be okay, and he's ready to go. Here comes the pitch. Swing and a miss, strike one. That was a nice home run cut right there by Mr. Young.
Scott, a Fort Mill graduate, now goes to USC Union, which basically is a program that's a big Milltown reunion. Pitch.
It is, with Seth Hansen down there, and that ball was down low. I can't
Riley
believe that was
Ashworth.
called. Riley
You
Ashworth.
keep going if you want.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, Scott Young's family down to our left, Grandpa, Mr. Bob Young's down there. On
Glad
the
to
front
see
row
Mr.
per
Young
usual.
here tonight.
Yep. Joanne and Matthew, mom and dad, they're here as well. As Nolan goes and gets an ice pack.
0-2, here comes the count.
I'm going to assume that's either for Eli or it could be one for Eli and one for Gabe once
Yeah.
he comes out of the base. You
The
know?
walking mash unit. That's actually what Stas Swardzewski, the head coach at Catawba Ridge, called the 2019 Nation Ford team. Down low for ball two. They had enough talent to bring that title home to Fort Mill, and unfortunately, all their big stars kept getting injured. That included Causey and Bott and
Was
Matt
that the year
Cota.
they made the run and they beat Caden Grice along the way? And made
That
it
was
to
an
the-
18.
That was 18. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that 2019 team, the one that really just disappoints me to no end was 2020. Because when
came.
COVID hit and it ended the season for both teams, that Monday was supposed to be NAFO and Fort Mill, and the starting pitchers were going to be Mikey Tepper and Magdiel Cotto.
It was the
Let
game
that
of the
marinate
century.
For a second. Yeah. That pitch just swung on. It hit a mile high left center field. The center fielder says he's got it. He'll wait for it to kiss off the moon and come down to earth, tagging up 90 feet and moving from. And Nico Bartolotti
Did a nice little dance out there.
He jumps over the baseball.
So he can run track and run the hurdles too, Bartolotti. Two runners in scoring position now in the bottom of the sixth.
Drew Endress.
Drew Endress has a couple of ducks on the pond out here with one out, looking to add some more insurance runs for Fort Mill. But yeah, that even Coach Lewis was telling me about how many spectators they were planning on having at that game, and that he had roped off an area for all the scouts that were coming to
Yep.
watch him. And he said, you're going to have to come to the booth real early because
Real
you
early.
won't be able to get through the crowd.
Yeah, it was going to be bananas. And both those two teams, Nation Ford and Fort Mill, were loaded.
Yes. Swing and a miss.
And in my honest opinion, it was going to come down between those two for the region championship, and one of those two was going to knock the other one out.
Yep.
And it just unfortunately didn't materialize. But such is life, you know. It's not what happens to you; it's what you do with it.
And Nation
Pitch.
Ford was 6-0 at that point, and they were looking pretty strong. They weren't just beating teams by one or two runs; they were hammering teams.
And Fort Mill had 3 losses. However, those 3 losses were in the IP Classic, and they
Yes.
were all 1-run losses.
And that's a tough tournament to play in. Checks a
Check the
swing,
They called it a swing. Another awful call by the home plate umpire.
and Endress has to walk
That's
away.
not even close. I'm sorry, man, but that's
You can't see me demonstrating it, but his bat was right here.
right.
It wasn't
It
anywhere
didn't-
close
It did
to
not
the plate
clear the front hip, and in that situation, please defer to the gentleman a second.
because he can see it clear as day from down
Yes.
there. The 2-2 coming to Endress. Curveball, and he hits it to short. That'll score a run. And he's out at first base, but drives in the 8th Fort Mill run of the night. And there's now 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th.
This one for Fort Mill is the right fielder, number 11, Sam Shields.
Sam Chiz coming to the plate with 2 outs, and Gabe Simmons over at third base. He seems to be okay down there.
So Fort Mill with a run here in the 6th. And you start to feel a little bit more comfortable now, up 8-3.
You do, but we saw what Cherryville did in the 5th inning of the Florence game after being down by about 700 runs.
That pitch just swung on and belted into left field, but it's going to stay in the park. The left fielder will now slow up near the line and he'll
Grabs it
catch
with
it
two
to
hands.
retire the side. A run on 2 hits, no errors, and a man left. And we head to his last chance saloon for Cherryville. We head to the 7th. It's 8-3 Fort Mill.
Last chance for Cherryville post 100 here in the top of the 7th inning with post 43 from Fort Mill leading 8-3. This would certainly sink Cherryville's chances to win this tournament. And first pitch from Christ is a strike, 0-1.
Lane Ross started the game, 2 innings. Nick Christ came in relief and has gone the distance. And he answered the bell for Fort Mill. So if Fort Mill can get 3 more outs, they will notch their 3rd victory in a row. And 6 games this week, they would move their record to 3-1 through the first 4. And that pitch is swung on and missed, and that's the slider. A lot of people don't realize Nick Christ has that pitch, but he will throw it to keep you off balance, especially when you start sitting on his other stuff. And time is called. And that was a case right there where Nick was ready to go, set, but the batter hadn't.
He wasn't looking out of the pitcher
yet.
yet.
They say with the pitch clock, an attention,
Mhm.
so to speak, attentive. Pitch is swung on and belted into left center field, but it's dropping. Drew Enders will dive. Does he make the
No, he
catch?
doesn't.
I think he dropped it.
Oh, he
No,
did make the
He
catch.
made the catch. Oh, baby, what a play by Drew Enders. Dun-na-na, dun-na-na.
I think he needed to make sure that he didn't lose any teeth before he showed the ball. Great play by Drew Enders.
Back to the top of the order for Cherryville with number 14, Riley Stiles.
Post 43 Athletic Director Mac Banks in the house, also the co-host of the Mouthy Milltowners podcast, along with me and JT.
Also
and he
known
is guzzling a Gatorade. He's worked really hard for this tournament, and he's probably well overheated. Wouldn't you say, JT?
I would. Pitches on the inside corner of the knees, called a strike. The new name of Mouthy Milltowners is
3 grumpy old
the
men.
Grump, the Crump, and the Dump. Well, since you're the higher man on the food chain right here, we'll
get
let
to
you go
pick.
first.
I'm going
Oh,
to change it to pretty grumpy, grumper, and
Oh.
dumper.
ain't nothing pretty about us. Don't lie like that.
That's why we have faces for radio.
Amen to that. Put a big old fat microphone screen right in front of us.
Oh, mercy.
People
2
like
and
I
1.
never. This is what I love though when you meet people for the first time, pitch outside the zone, 3-1 to count. Is when you meet people that know your voice, they've listened to you before, and they meet you for the first time, and they say, "You don't look a thing like I thought you were gonna." That pitch.
I
low
don't
and
know.
inside.
That's a good question.
I don't think it is. I mean, because they're looking at you like, man, you don't look like not in a wow, he's great looking. It's more of like, oh my gosh,
I'm very disappointed.
when you popped out, could they have put you back in? That's awful. Put that
Riley
dude back in.
Stiles walks, and that brings up the shortstop,
Now batting for Cherryville,
Zane
number
Brockman.
15, Zane Brockman.
I don't know. I think we have too much fun up here in this booth.
There's no such thing.
That
Pitch high
ball's
and
high.
inside.
And Mac literally has guzzled that entire Gatorade in the last 90 seconds we've been here.
It was great to see the Mrs. and lovely
Yeah.
Lauren at the park tonight. Your two of your three beautiful ladies. Heads up, heads up. Down behind the Cherryville dugout, third base side.
In fact, if we only had 10 minutes to eat, basically, that was.
Listen,
I could have eaten 20 of those things, though they were so good.
We've gotten to eat. I've done an assignment before where we did 4 straight state championship soccer games in one day at Irmo, and I didn't eat for 12 hours. So
But you slept most of the time, didn't you?
I almost fell
For
asleep
soccer?
going home. Pitch, called a strike. No, I love soccer.
Yeah.
I love it. I was the color guy for all 4 of those games. My buddy Chet Tucker was the play-by-play, and I'll be honest with you, we had a great time. He and I worked very well together. We have for football with WRHI, the OTS Sports Network. That pitch is swung on and drilled in the left center field, and going back is Barshall. He'll reach up and he'll make the catch. 2 putouts in this top of the 7th that are worthy of a Sports Center top 10. Nice play by Jonathan, showing off the wheels, and the last hope for Cherryville's number 18, Ashton Pope. Not only for Cherryville, number 18, Ashton Pope.
And I've never really been a big soccer fan, but when I was at Chapel Hill, the ladies won 5 national championships, and so watching them.
5 years. That was your freshman year, wasn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
And they were so good they could have beaten the men's team many a time, and so it was nice to see good soccer.
Yeah, the Lady Tar Heels for sure, but the other Lady Tar Heels team that is dominant, women's lacrosse. It's basically North Carolina almost every other year. It's ridiculous.
And field hockey, for that matter,
Field
too.
hockey as well. Yep. Runner takes off for second. Now that'll be scored defensive indifference. Why? Runner took off for second, but Hunter Biscay didn't even offer to throw down.
He didn't want to risk throwing it out into center field and that run scoring. Not that run matters right now, but why take the chance? The 2-0 pitch, and he's off and running again. Biscay will throw down there, and that would have been kind of an unusual way to end the game, but
that will be a stolen base.
Certainly it caught Fort Mill off guard. Let's just put it that way.
Well, usually when a team is down by 3 or more, usually in that area, you won't see them try to steal bases because being on the base paths is and that pitch is swung on and hit high in the air, shallow left center field. Gabe Simmons will make the call, and he'll catch it. Ball game. Your final score, 8-3. Back in a moment with the totals.
Well, another Fort Mill win, and that's something that we can get down with all the time, something I'll never get tired of.
No, not at all. And Fort Mill in a game that it was back and forth. I mean, Cherryville got defeated earlier this afternoon, 15-4, but we knew they would turn around and they would put a fight up against Fort Mill. They did. Fort Mill took the early lead, but then Cherryville battled back and made it 3-2. Then Fort Mill turned the tables, took a 5-3 lead, and Keith, that's when Nick Christ took over.
It is, and he pitched beautifully out there tonight. And he came in. Unfortunately, Lane Ross didn't have his best stuff tonight, but Nick came in and he changed speeds. And you could see it in the Cherryville guy's face. They just didn't know what to expect from him, whether it was going to be that looping curveball or it was going to be a fastball right down the corner or, that slider that was working all night long for him is really what kind of kept them from getting around on him as much.
Yeah, and you talk to Nick, and he's just a great young man. And his mom and dad done a great job with Nick, and he'll tell you flat out. He's just brutally honest. He'll tell you, "Hey, I was good Nick or bad Nick tonight," and tonight it was good Nick. And there were some borderline calls, even balls that were called balls. They were around the zone. They were in the zone sometimes, but nonetheless, I think if there's a Player of the Game award, you'd have to give it to Nick Christ.
I'd certainly say so.
Yeah, Fort Mill offensively pretty good. 2 hits for Sam Chiz. 2 more hits for Zach Jennings, 1 hit each for Eli, Nico, Gabe, Scott, Jonathan, and Biscuit. Drew Brink also with 2 base knocks tonight. There's productivity from the 9-hole. You turn it back over to the top of the order. That was the secret sauce tonight. So back at more baseball tomorrow morning. Yes, you heard me right. Tomorrow morning, we will see you crazy kids. Now, here's going to be the situation, just so everybody knows. In the morning, it'll be 11 o'clock and 1:30. Florence is supposed to play in those 2 games. I will plan to broadcast those games. Either myself or Keith will do it, or hell, we might do it together. It just depends on who's here. And then we'll have the Rock Hill Cherryville game will just be streaming only. There'll be no audio for that because we'll need to take a break between that and the 6:30 game, which is Fort Mill and the Queen City Mustangs, Keith.
That sounds good. And we've seen some good baseball today so far. Again, Florence was just dominant in the first game. There's really not much you can say other than that they were dominant. And poor Cherryville, they just couldn't get anything going. They did fight again in the 5th inning. And like we said, we knew that was going to carry over into the Fort Mill game. And they did, and they fought, but Fort Mill was just too much. The timely hits, the pitching from Nick Kreis, and looking forward to seeing the Fort Mill, how they do against the Mustangs tomorrow.
So we really appreciate y'all tuning in tonight, wherever you may be across the fruited plains. And we will see you crazy kids tomorrow. On behalf of Mac Banks, our athletic director, head coach Tom Skula, my man Keith Cook, I'm JT. We will see you crazy kids tomorrow morning. And until then, so long, everybody.